This video is very much on why are you addicted to pain and suffering, or why are people addicted to pain and suffering. This can be very useful if you're going through that yourself, or if you know people who are very close to you that it seems that no matter how much you try and help them get into a space that's positive, you just cannot. You know, they're just anchored into so much pain and suffering that you can never help them to shift out of it. And by the way, you're not meant to. Okay. So I'm going to allow God to come through me now, and gonna have a little sip of my coffee. Okay, wonderful. So what I want to say, this is God. What I want to say is that a lot of people are addicted to pain and suffering. And if you're going through that, where you say to yourself, no matter how hard I try, I just can't shift out of the experience of pain and suffering. And what does that look like? That looks like I'm single and I just can't seem to open my heart up to love. You know, I want a relationship with God, but I just feel so hateful of God. I just feel I just can't get past whatever's been in my past. You know, it's very much that maybe you try very hard to have good relationships with people, but you just find no matter how hard you try, you're always back in these old patterns where you allow people to dishonor you. And you're always feeling angry. You're always feeling like I'm frustrated, I'm aggressive. You know, all these feelings are pain. Pain, and suffering. However you want to say it. You know, these are very much, I'm tuned into these feelings, but I don't really want to call, they're not real feelings. They're very much, you know, really comes under this category of pain and suffering. I don't want to say that that's a real feeling. Yeah, but it's something that is, all I can tune into are the difficult things. Yeah, I can only tune into frustration and anger and trauma and, you know, all this stuff that's very negative. And then on the back end of that, I guarantee you that you're not able to feel real emotions. And real emotions I want to call, you know, I feel pleasure, I feel joy, I feel love, I feel happy, I feel content, I feel agreeable, I feel cooperative, I feel all these really great things. And those, I want to say, those are real emotions, you know. So really what has happened is you have cut off your emotions because you went through difficult trauma. Sorry, Bear. You went through difficult pain and trauma, and Bear's our little healer. So, you know, if you're going through anything difficult, we got a little Care Bear here, just healing away. And if you went through difficult things, then it's a good chance that you were able to say to yourself, you know, I need to really turn off my emotions. I'm not feeling anything, because I really allow myself to not feel anything for a little while. But if you do that, if you really switch off your emotions so that you're not feeling anything because you've been through some really difficult stuff, what you're going to find is that the lack of emotion means you don't tune into the good things anymore. You're just not capable of it. You're only tuned into the negative, you know, and it's very much, if you're not experiencing love, you're not able to feel it because you turned it off, but then you're gonna only experience all that negative stuff. And I don't call those real feelings, because real for me means it's divine, it's God, it's real deal stuff that when you're out of illusion, you're never gonna feel pain and suffering. It just doesn't exist. So that's what I mean by fake and real. Doesn't mean it's not difficult. It's really hard if you switched off all the good stuff and you're only feeling negative. But when you switch it off, it's not a bad thing. You know, I'm not going to say don't switch off things if you're going to experience a lot more trauma. I understand why you don't want to feel all of that, but then you're only going to feel the dark stuff. You're only going to feel illusion. Yeah, you can't just switch off real stuff and then, you know, because if your emotions are on, I understand you're also going to feel the pain, but you're also going to be able to feel pain in a different way. Eventually, if you go through it and you're still feeling stuff, you're going to come up to the really good stuff on the other side of it. If you allow yourself to not repress it, or, you know, to have it fully expressed, you'll come out to, oh, I feel okay, actually. Yeah. So it's only when we start repressing things and we switch off our feelings and, oh, I got to squish this down here and I can't really fully experience it or express it. If I just go through life and I'm really pissed off and I'm never expressing my anger, I'm never saying, hey, that wasn't okay for me, or hey, why did you do that, and just having a conversation about it. If you continue to repress, you're gonna find that in the end you're just a ball of darkness. You don't expand anymore, you just contract. Yeah, you get stuck energy. It's like you become like a black hole, almost like I'm just going within myself, deepening in my experience of darkness until the point I can't even see anything anymore because I'm so scared and frightened. And then you're only going to experience more darkness, yeah, until you realize, oh, I have some feeling in my heart. Maybe that cracked me open, being so pushed within myself that I finally was like, oh, I gotta open my heart and feel love again. And then you experience some divine energy and some healing, a heart healing. And I guarantee you, if you're starting to say, I'm willing to feel something again, then I'm helping you to heal it. You have a willingness to say, I'm willing to feel something. And I'm going to say, cool, great. I'm going to get in there and give you a lot of divine healing. And then you're going to start experiencing love and joy and all of this. Now, when it comes to other people and they're going through this, there's nothing you can do to shift them out of it. So please don't try. Doesn't mean you can't be loving, yeah? You can be whoever you are as a real being, yeah? It's very important for you to understand this. If someone else is going through this, please don't try and say, hey, get out of your depression, snap out of it. That's not what they need. You're not going to be able to do that. You just aren't. It's their choice. It's their choice. But let me guarantee it, that if they're going through that and you come through and you're just divine love, you're just love. And you just love on them. You just say, I love you so much. I just love you. Whatever you're going through, it's okay. I love you. I love you. I'm not going to snap you out of anything, but I'm just here to love you. I just love, what do you need? What can I do for you? What can I do to love you more? How can I love you more in this moment? How can I be love for you in this moment? I guarantee that real, genuine love, not forced, I'm trying to get you out of this experience, no. But the real, how can I love you more in this moment? Because I recognize that you need love. You need someone around you who is feeling genuine feelings, most likely. Genuine feelings. Then they're going to maybe open up to an idea of, someone's giving me love. Divine eternal energy is coming into my experience now. So that's how you can really help them, is just be yourself. And your real self is going to be experiencing all these divine, eternal feelings that are going to lift up other people without even trying. Yeah, it's just very much about being yourself. So, lean back. Don't lean into anyone else's experience if they're going through a hard time. I understand that you want to, snap them out of it if it's your child, if it's your husband, if it's your wife. But the most important thing you can do is to really hold a vision of, I understand that they're going through this. I understand it's not the real them. I'm not going to give power to what they're going through, but I also understand that they need to experience divinity within themselves. And the best way they can do that is if I'm being a divine being around them. If I'm all cooing or, oh, you poor thing, it's not about that, because I'm teaching you to be more like God, more like me, yeah? I'm teaching you to remember that your oneness with God is always going to tell you to lean back into your own internal, eternal energy or frequency, and to just bring more light onto the planet. And when you're relating to others, to still stay within your own, I don't want to call it a vacuum, but at the same time, it's a world where nothing bad ever penetrates it. When you're really doing this real good job of being your real self, your yourself as a soul, a spiritual being, you're gonna have your own world created. And when people come into that world, they can just feel it so powerfully and strongly that they can't help but rise up in your presence. Yeah, because you created a world that says everything in this world is just love. All the time. My world's love all the time. So when someone comes into my world, they're going to rise and they're going to feel good. And it's not because I poked and prodded them and said, hey, you got to snap out of it, or hey, you poor thing. No one needs that, you poor thing. But they also do, from a point of view of, I have so much love and compassion for what you're going through. It is really hard. I acknowledge it's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. How can I love you more right now? I understand you're going through a really challenging time. I'm not taking away from that. It is. I understand it's hard work when you're not in divine energy. It's very difficult. Very difficult. But I'm just here to say, welcome to my world, and in this world, I love people a lot, especially when I see their suffering, yeah? So I don't try and get them out of it, but I just know that this world needs love. It really does need love, and it needs someone to recognize within themselves that if I'm addicted to pain and suffering, why does it happen? It happens when you repress stuff. It happens when you came into this world as a very happy child and your light was shining brightly, but then you had the experience of parents that were unhealed. Okay? They are going to project onto you an experience that is unhealthy. It's inevitable. It's just inevitable. If they're unhealed, they're going to experience you as a projection of their pain. And so they may say to you, be a good girl, be a good boy. Maybe they say, you're not good enough as you are. Maybe you need to be more like me. Maybe I need to control you in some way because your bad behavior of being a child that's really light and shining is making me feel small because I recognize I'm not light and shining. Yeah, so if your parent is experiencing a lot of darkness, now they have a newborn child that has so much light, and that makes them feel unworthy in some way, they're going to try and control you and say, don't do that. Do this, don't do that, do this, and it becomes like just an exponential series of lots of rules that you have to follow, and then before you know it, you're in the matrix and in the system of gender and control because you experienced it in your early years. Then you're gonna find that as you get into that, you're gonna contract, you're gonna feel limited, and you're gonna say, that's really hard, and if I don't understand how to express it, because maybe I didn't learn that growing up from my parents, because maybe my parents never really went into emotion and understanding how do I really allow myself to expand through my emotions as a being that's inevitably going to be shining brightly for the world to see, then you're going to find that you land yourself in this space a little bit sometimes, and that's when you're then going to experience a dark night where you're getting even more contracted, and you're starting to see, I can't continue to be a dark ball of matter. I have to at some point crack open and realize I'm a divine being, and that actually within me is the supreme being ready to, shine brightly and not be addicted to pain and suffering. And it becomes such an addiction when you're in that, because when you're not feeling anything, someone who's really loving is going to really threaten this protective space you've built for yourself of darkness. It's almost like becomes like a cocoon of control and limitation. Maybe, you just have a very controlled environment now because you've been through so much trauma and repressed so much that when someone really is full of light, they're going to threaten your dark shell, your cocoon and your safety net, but it's not a true safety net. And so you may even repress even more your difficult stuff, but eventually you're gonna see you can't do it forever. Like, how could I possibly do this forever? At some point you're gonna crack open and so I can't do it anymore. Maybe I'm like, wanting to kill myself by this point. I have to become someone new. I have to rebirth. And we're gonna do a whole video on, what does it mean if you want to kill yourself? Please don't kill yourself, or think about, it's not really that. It's really about, I got to become my real self. That's just not available to me to be that limited being anymore. It's not the real me. So then maybe I need to kill off that version of me and become someone new. That doesn't mean you kill yourself. Please don't do that. It's really that we're going to make more videos on this. It's such a crucial such a crucial understanding that's needed of anything like that. But it can happen if you repress yourself to a point where you're really needing to rebirth yourself, and it can feel like, oh God, I can't continue on the path I've always been. I have to end that version of me and become someone who is real and blossoming and light and shining brightly, so I can have the best life that is meant for me. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just one more point on this. The reason it becomes such an addiction, an addiction to pain and suffering, is that yes, it is like a safety net, that the more you experience it, the more you feel safer doing that. But then that safety net contracts and contracts you, until it's no longer feeling safe. And then you just don't know what to do anymore. It's very much that you just become so encased in darkness that you're just genuinely confused. You just don't know what to do anymore. So as much as it feels like an addiction and I can't shift out of it, it becomes much more of a confusion. Like I just genuinely don't know what to do anymore. And that can become an addiction in itself, that I'm so used to not knowing what to do. I'm so used to having pain and suffering that when something's really good coming in for me saying, hey, I'm God, I'm gonna help break you out of this, or maybe I'm an angel coming in to help you, that you don't recognize, you feel so unsafe that you just don't know what to do anymore. You just are not able to even see, is that lie? I can't tell, I don't know, I feel almost blinded by it. Like I'm just not available to knowing things in the way that I would be. So I say, you know what, no, I don't trust you, so I'm going to go to more darkness. Yeah, so that's why it then becomes like you just become very mistrustful of everything, and so you're not able to receive the lie or tell, is this lie, is this, I'm just blind by this point in my pain. And so that can happen too, and that's why it becomes so much an addiction, and it just continues and continues and continues until eventually you will inevitably break out of it. But I'd rather you do it now than you do it later, and that's what all these videos are for. There'll be more videos on this topic, like I said, but it's very much for you to start understanding that it isn't the end of the road for you. It's just the end of the road of being a limited being that's trapped by pain and suffering. Okay, that's all I have to say. Enjoy this video and really allow yourself to know that there's a lot of hope available to you, and that if you're feeling really down, that we'll have more videos on that, but also just watch these videos. It's inevitably that they'll start to break through as a light, and all you need to do is see this is real, genuine light. This is real, genuine love, and the more you can focus on this light, the more you're going to recognize that it's within you. Yeah, so if you're feeling mistrustful of any, maybe you're watching this, you're feeling mistrustful, it's okay. Just enjoy the light and start to be like, oh, I understand this light from this video, which is a lot of light from this video. It's just telling me I've got some light in myself, and I can start to, maybe I can start to allow the light to come back to me, even if it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard when you're so used to the addiction of pain and suffering. It's so hard for me to allow that in myself. It's almost like, oh God, it feels so painful to experience a little bit of light because my heart's broken. My heart's broken. So when something loving and light comes into it, I just feel pain to begin with, because I've had that emotion off for so long, and it feels like a little bit of heartbreak and pain. I'm feeling something again, but if you stick with it, you're gonna find that a genuine love comes from there. Okay, so I hope that that's really helped you, and just know, keep going on with the light. Yeah, if you need to watch 20 videos a day to really fuel yourself, to remember that who you really are, then continue doing that. And just know you can trust these videos. You can trust this. This is real, genuine light that comes from God. It comes from source. It comes from co-creation. It comes from being a light worker. It's all really genuine stuff here you're going to see on this channel. So you can trust it. And don't take my word for it, but you do need to stick with it a little bit if you've been used to mistrusting the world a lot. Okay? Lots of love to you. Oh, and by the way, you're not really mistrusting the world. You're just mistrusting the darkness, because you're starting to be like, of course I can't trust darkness. Of course I can't trust the difficult emotions. They're not real. They're not real. Okay? So it's just mirroring that back.